Have you ever been loved in a way that felt intense, but somehow you still felt unseen? And have you ever wondered why the same kinds of people keep falling for you, even when you keep changing your life on the outside? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are exploring a deep idea often linked to Carl Jung, but we will not treat it like a clever quote to impress people. We will treat it like a mirror that shows you why love appears, why love breaks, and why some love becomes attachment while other love becomes compassion and freedom. We will weave together psychology and Buddhist wisdom, so the conversation stays grounded in awakening. Wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and the way destiny quietly forms through your repeated patterns. Here are the two guiding ideas we will carry through the whole story. First, people often fall in love for a hidden reason. Not because love is fake, but because the human mind uses love to meet needs it does not fully understand. One reason is recognition, the feeling that you mirror something they already carry inside. The second reason is medicine, the feeling that being with you will heal or complete something they feel is missing. Second, true love becomes clean only when you see these reasons clearly. When you see clearly, you can stop turning love into a contract for emotional survival. That is where Buddhism steps in, because attachment is suffering, and clarity is liberation. Now let me tell you a story. There was a person named Lena who had a strange experience repeating across years. People would fall for her fast. Not everyone, but the ones who did it with intensity. They would say things like, "I have never met anyone like you," or "I feel like I have known you forever," or "You make me feel alive again." At first Lena felt flattered. Then she felt uneasy. Because after the honeymoon phase, something would shift. The same people who adored her began to resent her. They would accuse her of changing. They would say she was distant. They would say she was not the person they thought she was. Lena did not understand what was happening. She felt like she was being punished for being herself. She would try to fix it by giving more, explaining more, proving more. That only made her tired. One night after another breakup, Lena sat alone and asked a painful question. Why do people fall for me so quickly? And why does it later feel like I disappoint them no matter what I do? A friend invited her to a small talk at a community center. The speaker was a counselor named Aaron who had studied depth psychology and also practiced meditation. Aaron spoke softly and did not try to sell certainty. He said something that made Lena sit up. He said many people fall in love for two reasons. They fall in love because you reflect something they recognize inside themselves. And they fall in love because they believe you will heal something they cannot hold alone. Lena felt a chill because it sounded too accurate. After the talk, Lena approached Aaron and asked him to explain. But to explain like a human, not like a theory. Aaron smiled and said, "Let us start with recognition." He said sometimes you meet someone and their presence feels familiar. Not because you met in another lifetime, though some people like that story, but because your nervous system recognizes a pain. It recognizes a tone of voice, a kind of attention, the kind of emotional temperature that matches your early conditioning. Lena thought of her childhood, a loving home on the surface, but emotionally unpredictable underneath. A parent who could be warm one day and cold the next. Love that had to be earned through being easy, being helpful, being impressive. Aaron said when you grew up in unpredictability, your nervous system can interpret unpredictability as love. Not because you want pain, but because familiarity becomes a false form of safety. Lena asked, "So people fall for me because I feel familiar?" Aaron said sometimes yes, but also sometimes because you reflect something they desire to become. This is where Jung is helpful. Jung spoke about projection, the mind placing its inner image onto another person. A person may fall in love with you because they see in you qualities they have not claimed in themselves yet. Your confidence, your calmness, your warmth, your freedom, your innocence, your depth. Lena remembered how people often described her as peaceful, but she did not always feel peaceful inside. She simply learned to look composed. She learned to be the calm one. People fell in love with the calm image. But that calm image was partly a survival strategy. Iran said that is recognition too. They recognize an archetype, a symbol. They are not necessarily seeing you fully. They are seeing what you represent. Then Iran spoke about the second reason. Medicine. He said some people fall in love because they believe you will heal their pain. This can sound romantic, but it can become heavy. They believe your love will fix their loneliness. Your attention will repair their childhood wounds. Your steadiness will soothe their anxiety. At first it feels beautiful, because being needed feels like being valued. But later it becomes a trap, because no human being can permanently carry another person's inner peace. Lena felt tears because she had lived this. She often became the therapist partner, the rescuer partner, the stabilizer partner. And when she finally needed support, the other person would collapse or withdraw. Iran said, when someone falls in love with you as medicine, they may not be falling in love with your real humanity. They are falling in love with the relief you provide. That does not mean they are evil. It means they are hungry. And hunger tends to cling. This is where Buddhist wisdom enters with force and gentleness at the same time. Buddhism says clinging is suffering. When love becomes clinging, both people suffer. Lena asked, does that mean nobody really loves anyone? Iran shook his head. He said, no. It means love begins with mixed causes. Humans are mixed. Love can begin with projection and still grow into something real if both people wake up. But if nobody wakes up, the projection hardens into a demand, and the medicine becomes a dependency. That night Lena went home and could not stop thinking. But the thinking was different. It was not rumination. It was recognition. She began to review her relationships with new eyes. There was Jonah, who fell for her because she felt calm. But Jonah was anxious inside and had never learned to soothe himself. He treated Lena as a breathing anxiety pill. When Lena needed space, Jonah panicked. When Lena set boundaries, Jonah accused her of not loving him. There was Mira, who fell for her because she seemed mysterious and deep. Mira projected onto Lena the image of a wise guide. But when Lena showed ordinary needs and ordinary flaws, Mira felt disappointed, as if Lena had broken a spiritual promise she never made. There was Theo, who fell for her because she was independent. Theo wanted to feel more alive, more courageous, more free. But instead of cultivating those qualities inside himself, he tried to absorb them through Lena. When Lena continued being herself, Theo grew insecure. He started criticizing her independence as selfishness. Lena realized something painful. In many relationships, she had been loved for what she represented, not for who she was. But then she realized something equally important. She also participated. She participated by performing calmness. She participated by rescuing. She participated by being the one who never needed anything. She participated because she was afraid that if she showed her full humanity, people would leave. That fear is karma in action. Not karma as punishment. Karma as conditioning. Repeated fear leads to repeated roles. Repeated roles led to repeated relationship patterns. That pattern becomes destiny if you never interrupt it with practice. Lena returned to Aaron and asked, what do I do with this? How do I find real love? Aaron said, first, you practice seeing. When someone is attracted to you, notice what they are attracted to. Are they attracted to your actual values and character? Or are they attracted to the role you play? Are they curious about your real mind? Or are they consuming your energy as relief? He said. Second, you practice honesty early. Not dramatic oversharing, but honest self-presentation. If you always present as the calm healer, you attract people who want a healer. If you present as a whole human being, with needs and boundaries, you filter out the ones who only want medicine. He said. Third, you practice compassion with wisdom. Compassion without wisdom becomes self-sacrifice. Wisdom without compassion becomes coldness. The middle way is warm boundaries. Lena asked, "What does that look like in real life?" Iron said, "It looks like not rushing into intensity. It looks like letting time reveal character. It looks like watching how someone handles disappointment. It looks like seeing whether they can regulate their emotions without using you as a crutch. It looks like whether they respect your no." That last part hit hard. Respect your no. Because Lena realized many people loved her yes, but resented her no. They loved her when she was medicine, but they punished her when she was human. Now let us bring the Buddhist layer more directly. In Buddhism, love is healthiest when it is close to metta and karuna. Loving kindness and compassion, paired with wisdom. Loving kindness means you sincerely wish well-being for the other. Compassion means you care about their suffering and you do not want to add to it. But wisdom means you do not confuse care with control. And you do not confuse compassion with being used. Attachment says, "I need you to behave a certain way so I can be okay." Compassion says, "I care deeply and I will act wisely, but I will not cling." So how do these two reasons for love transform when you practice Buddhism? Recognition becomes clearer. Instead of being hypnotized by familiarity, you ask, is this familiarity healthy? Does it open my heart or tighten my chest? Does it bring out patience and honesty? Or does it bring out anxiety and performance? Mindfulness turns recognition into information rather than fate. Medicine becomes lighter. Instead of being addicted to the relief someone gives you, you learn to cultivate inner stability yourself. Then you can love freely. You can enjoy support without dependence. You can ask for care without turning the other person into your survival device. This is how love becomes true. Not by eliminating all human needs, but by not letting needs become chains. Let me continue Lena's story, because this is where it becomes practical and emotional. A few months later, Lena met someone named Daniel. Daniel was warm and attentive. He asked thoughtful questions. He listened without rushing. He seemed steady. Lena felt the familiar pull, that mixture of hope and fear. In the past, she would have rushed toward the feeling and called it destiny. This time she practiced. She noticed the body. She noticed the thoughts. She noticed the urge to perform calmness. She tried something new. She told Daniel early, gently, that she values honesty and space, and that she does not want a relationship where one person becomes the emotional manager for the other. Daniel did not react with defensiveness. He said, "That makes sense. I am working on my own emotional patterns too." Lena felt relief, but she did not declare victory. She kept practicing. One day Daniel had a stressful week and became quieter. Lena's soul alarm woke up. The mind said, "He is losing interest. You should fix this. You should prove yourself. You should chase reassurance." Lena paused and did the practice Aaron taught her. She returned to breath. She labeled the story as thinking. She offered herself compassion. "May I be steady. May I not turn fear into control." Then she communicated cleanly. She said, "I notice you are quieter this week. I hope you are okay. If you need space, I respect it. If you want to talk, I am here." Daniel replied with appreciation and explained he was overwhelmed, but did not want to dump it on her. He said he would talk after he rested. That moment was small, but it was destiny shifting. Because Lena did not perform, did not chase, did not punish. She stayed steady. Over time, Daniel revealed something else. He had his own history of being attracted to healer types. He admitted that in the past he used relationships as medicine. He would cling when anxious. He would seek constant reassurance. He would panic when partners needed space. But he said he was working on it through therapy and meditation. He said he did not want to repeat that karma. Lena listened and realized something important. The right partner is not someone with 0 wounds. The right partner is someone who practices. Someone who takes responsibility for their inner world. Someone who does not demand that you carry it. That is Buddhist love, practice-based love. Now I want to deepen the teaching for you listening. Because this is not only about Lena. It is about the invisible mechanics of almost every relationship. If you accept the two reasons, recognition and medicine, you can use them as a lantern. When someone is drawn to you, ask, what do I represent to them? Do I represent comfort, status, residue, freedom, innocence, stability, rebellion, spirituality, success? None of these are wrong. But if they only love the symbol, they will struggle to love your full humanity. Then ask, what pain are they hoping my presence will erase? Are they hoping I will fix their loneliness? Are they hoping I will heal their insecurity? Are they hoping I will give them identity? Are they hoping I will give them purpose? And now the crucial Buddhist move. Do not judge them. See them. Hunger is suffering. People cling because they fear. If you see that, compassion can arise. But compassion does not mean you become their medicine at the cost of yourself. Compassion means you do not hate them while you set boundaries. The other side of the mirror is even more important. What do you fall in love with? Do you fall in love with recognition too? Do you chase people who feel familiar even when they are not steady? Do you confuse intensity with destiny? Do you call anxiety butterflies? Do you fall in love with medicine? Do you choose people who feel like relief? People who temporarily make you feel worthy? People who distract you from your emptiness? If yes, do not shame yourself. Just notice. Noticing is awakening. Then practice. Practice means learning to sit with discomfort without rushing into attachment. Practice means learning to soothe your own nervous system, so you do not demand that a partner do it constantly. Practice means learning right speech, so you do not manipulate. Practice means learning boundaries so you do not collapse. Practice means compassion for yourself so you do not beg for worth. This is how karma changes. Every time you choose clarity over fantasy, you plant a seed. Every time you choose steadiness over chasing, you plant a seed. Every time you choose honesty over performance, you plant a seed. Seeds become habits. Habits become character. Character becomes destiny. Now I want to share a second short story because it shows the cost of not seeing these two reasons. There was a man named Victor who fell in love quickly and dramatically. He said he was a romantic, but he was also terrified of being alone. When Victor met someone, he projected onto them the image of salvation. He believed they would finally make life feel safe. At first he was attentive and generous. The other person felt adored. But soon Victor began needing constant reassurance. He began monitoring. He began controlling plans. He began reacting to small changes like they were betrayals. The relationship became a prison for both. The partner felt suffocated. Victor felt abandoned even when they were still prison. This is attachment. It begins as medicine and ends as suffering. Victor eventually met a teacher who said, "You are not in love with the person. You are in love with the relief." That sentence hurt, but it woke him up. He began meditating. He began practicing compassion. He learned to sit with loneliness without panicking. Over time, his love became less gripping. He could finally see partners as humans rather than as solutions. This is the transformation Buddhism offers. Love becomes less about filling a hole and more about sharing a path. Now let me bring everything together with one final reflection that you can carry into your life. If people fall in love with you because of recognition, you can ask yourself, what energy am I showing the world? Am I showing a role or a real self? If you always show a role, you will attract people who want the role. If you show your real values, you attract people who can meet you there. If people fall in love with you because of medicine, you can ask, am I offering support in a healthy way? Or am I becoming responsible for their inner stability? True compassion helps without enabling dependence. It encourages practice. It respects boundaries. And for your own love, ask, am I choosing from fear or from wisdom? Fear wants a guarantee. Wisdom wants a path. Fear wants a perfect person. Wisdom wants a practicing person. Fear wants to avoid uncertainty. Wisdom learns to live with it. This is why the deepest answer to finding love is not a checklist of traits. The deepest answer is becoming the kind of mind that can love without clinging. That is awakening. That is practice. That is compassion. That is karma. That is destiny becoming lighter. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you have noticed yourself falling in love with a symbol, or using love as medicine, or finally learning to love with a softer grip, share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment to support these long teachings. And if you want to support the work more deeply, consider becoming a member so we can keep creating calm sessions that help you practice wisdom, compassion, and a lighter destiny.